Good morning and welcome. I'm glad that you're all here on this special day and for this special season. We're going to begin things with some hymns and hope that you sing out loud and clear in keeping with this special season. The first hymn is in Worship and Song, number 89, O Come All Ye Faithful, and right after that we'll be singing song number 84 in Worship and Song, In the Bleak Midwinter.
We'll turn back to 84 in the Bleak Midwinter.
So
Now, Sandra has something that she'd like to share with us this morning. Sandra?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandra Hayes Hartman, and first I want to tell you that the poem that I did last week was not by Sandra Hayes Hartman, but by Tom Haig. But thank all of you for complimenting me on my writing, called Major Plagiar. Today's poem is a fun story, and it's fun because I met the author of this story on the phone, and his name was Michael Brown. And he was famous for all of the things that he did in New York, the show tunes and the Broadway hits and lots of things that he was responsible for. And I merely called to get permission to do his story called Santa Mouse. But we fell in love immediately. He was 95, and he sent this to me, which was his rendition of the new Santa Mouse toy. So, Tom Haig last week, Michael Brown this week. And the name of the story is Santa Mouse. There are mice in this building. Once there was a little mouse. He didn't have a name. He lived in a great big house. Now, this mouse was the only mouse in the whole wide house. He daydreamed he had playmates as friendly as could be. The girls would bring their dolls and dress up and have tea. The boys would play at cowboys, Eskimos, or Spanish. But when he tried to touch them like a bubble, they would vanish. Now, through the years, this little mouse had saved one special thing, a piece of cheese. Not just any kind of cheese, but the kind that would make an angel want to sing. Well, it was Christmas Eve, and he was brushing his teeth and washing his tiny paws, and he thought, oh my goodness, no one gives a gift to Santa Claus. So he ran to get his piece of cheese, and after he had found it, some paper from some chewing gum, he quickly wrapped around it. Then he climbed in bed, and he dreamed he was lifted high and woke up to see Santa staring right in his eyes. Santa said, "Thank you for the cheese. Ho, 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 ho. Now tell me, what's your name?" "I haven't any," said the mouse. "You haven't? Why, that's a shame. You know I need a helper as I travel house to house, and I shall give a name to you. I'll call you Santa Mouse. Now here's your beard, and here's your suit, and here's each tiny shiny boot. You mustn't sneeze and you mustn't cough. So put them on and we'll be off." And then away they went together on a journey with no end, Santa and his tiny little friend. And so this Christmas, if you please, beneath that tree that's in your house, why don't you leave a piece of cheese? You know who'll thank you, Santa Mouse. There he is.
Thank you, Sandra. A born storyteller, if there ever was one, right? Well, tomorrow we celebrate the story of Jesus' birth, and I'd like to tell you a quick story about another birth, maybe not quite as miraculous, but one that was very special to me. My wife and I were expecting our third child a few years back, when Rita said it was time, we went to the IU Med Center to welcome him or her into the world. And we were there overnight, the entire night. Woke up the next morning, Rita had slept through the entire night. But then Rita could sleep through a hurricane, so... Anyway, we woke up the next morning, and ultimately one of the residents patronizingly patted Rita on the head and said, "Now don't come back, Mrs. Goss, until your water breaks." because not time yet, according to them. So we went home sadly and in silence. And we started to go to bed to get some sleep. But Rita said, "Give me just a minute. I need to go to the bathroom." But it wasn't the bathroom that she needed. I ran and she waddled to the car. And we flew down I-70 toward the hospital at about 80 miles an hour. And Adam arrived between Holt Road and Illinois Street while we were still going about 80 miles an hour. I've never given birth myself, but it sure was special to be there, just the two of us with the baby. Our first two children were born in hospitals, and it was back during that era when husbands couldn't be in the delivery room. Just the two of us when that baby came. And it was our first boy. Boys are no more special than girls, but it was our first boy, so that was special. Giving birth has to be one of the greatest gifts that God ever grants. Phil told me his message today is about generosity, about giving. Stick with me and I'll tell you how a birth story links to generosity. I learned something when I looked up the derivation of the word generosity. It comes from a Latin word that means of noble birth. What? How does generosity link to noble birth? Well, the root word is gen, G-E-N, and that word means to beget or to give birth. Originally, a generous person was a high-born person, born into aristocracy, born into wealth. These noble people had the means to be generous. They were generous because of what they had and who they were expected to be. Because they had been so blessed, they were expected to be generous to others. Gradually, generosity was attributed to people with less status and less wealth, but with an empathy for others and a willingness to share what they had. Generosity today means less about who we are and what we have than from our ability to see and feel and experience the needs of others. As we celebrate Jesus' birth, let's honor our noble birth as children of God. Let's give birth to healthfulness, wholeness, and happiness, and share it generously with those around us. It's the time during our service when we share announcements with one another, and we turn first to the folks who are on Zoom. If any of you have an announcement to share, if you would, please go ahead and share with us.
I have a family promise announcement. This is the start, today is the start of our week of Family Promise Support, where we will be providing food for 10 adults and 11 children with 2 babies in addition to that. There is one meal that hasn't yet been chosen. We've got the food that's going to be given to the Resource Center. That part is full. I don't yet have a meal for Wednesday night, but every problem is an opportunity. Last time, there was a young man there named Luke, and Luke wants to be a baker. And if you get the news flash, you probably heard where somebody gave him a mixer this last week for Christmas. But last time we donated, 3 months ago, I asked Luke if he would like to help with the meal. If he wants to be a baker, maybe time in the kitchen would be good for him. So he helped me fix fried chicken. And this time, if nobody steps forward with a donation for Wednesday's dinner, I'm going to ask Luke tonight if he would like to prepare the meal. And it could be as simple as hot dogs and mac and cheese or whatever he comes up with. But anyway, so that's how I'm planning to plot this week. If anybody would like to contribute to help Luke with that meal, or if anybody wants to team up on a meal. We have an excellent team in Dinah and Tom Roberts. They always give a pizza party. Dinah gives the money and Tom goes and does the pizza serving and the hosting. So if anybody wants to contribute any time during the year, you can always get a hold of me and I'll put you on the schedule and we can help make it so. Or if anybody wants to see more about the facility, you know, there's new houses being built in front of the Almost Home shelter house. And that's going to have 6 structures, with each one being a duplex, a 4-bedroom duplex. So there's lots going on, there's lots to do, and it's so neat to watch these families as they bloom into not being there anymore. They get so excited right before they leave. It's so neat to watch. But anyway, thanks to everyone who's contributing. I'll be stopping by the meeting house and picking up the donations and delivering them to the Resource Center today. And then if anybody has any questions on the schedule, just give me a call.
Thank you for that, and thanks for all that you do to make this a success. Are there others on Zoom who have an announcement to share? If not, how about here in the meeting room? Is there anyone here who has an announcement? And if you do, if you would say your name, please, as you begin.
Me again, Ann Tarvin. I want to talk a little bit about our schedule for next Sunday. It is 5th Sunday, which is traditionally and will be an unprogrammed meeting. We will have chat room ahead of time, and we are going to try something a little bit different. After unprogrammed meeting, we're going to have a pitch-in for the folks that come to unprogrammed meeting. It's not as large a group as our other pitch-ins, but it is a somewhat different group, and I think it might be a good thing to get together. So next weekend, or next Sunday, unprogrammed meeting at 10:30, and then a pitch-in.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else? If not, as I said, this is a special day. We have something special that's not in your bulletin, so Phil, do you want to come up?
Sure. We have a baby dedication. Marissa and Jacob. Gosh, it seems like just yesterday we were holding your wedding over in the Grove, but it wasn't just yesterday, I assure you. And look at this little treasure, Callum. Isn't that beautiful? His name means dove, which we know is a bird of peace. Look at that little guy. Yeah. You want to say hi over here? Yeah. Hi. Isn't that something? Looky there. That thumb tastes good, doesn't it? Yeah. Could the proud grandparents stand up? They're the 2 luckiest people in the world right there. My gosh. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Yeah. Hello there. Yeah. Oh, I love this kid. Oh, my. Callum, may you be all your name implies. May you be a lover of peace. May you bring joy and happiness to everyone you encounter. May your life be one of great happiness and service to this world. We love you. We celebrate you, and we ask God's blessing on you. Yes. Yes, we do. Marissa and Jacob, may God bless you. Thank you. And may your work and life as a parent bring you both great joy. Thank you. Thank you. Bless you. Oh, what a sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you, baby.
And Mark Friedelmeyer will lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. We are so very grateful to be here another Christmas. Before we frame a prayer, we might well remember that the Lord of life came into this world the same way we do. Born of a woman, born naked and powerless, born hungry and in need of a diaper, born into a family. Born subject to the powers of this world because of the evil plans of frightened men, his family was forced to run for their lives to Egypt. They were refugees. So when we mean to pray for all the world's children and every family, we remember these things. We do not approach a stranger. May all homes be places of harmony, love, and security. May all refugees find shelter and the help they need. Also, in this happy time, we remember to pray for all who know loss and all who mourn for the dear ones. Comfort, O comfort my people, says our God. Let not the poor be forgotten, and may the hungry be filled with good things. So I suppose our summary prayer of all these things is that we pray for peace on earth and goodwill among all people. Peace, O merciful one, peace in all things. Amen.
We do not pass the plate at Fairfield, we pass the food wagon. And so we invite the directors of our feeding program to come forward and to gather our bounty. A guided tour. Sandy, do you know that you yelled no, no, just as soon as he said, here comes the best part? Oh, my. Oh, that age of young boys. I remember that from our boys. I remember when we moved to Danville about 25 years ago. Most of the houses now in our neighborhood weren't yet there. We were pioneers, along with the Comers, who lived on the other side of the neighborhood. We could just see the smoke from their cooking fire. And in between our two houses was this vast expanse of wilderness full of bears and wolves and other fearsome creatures. And our boys, then 6 and 3, were keenly aware of the dangers and seldom left home without some weapon strapped to their side, a slingshot, a rubber knife, or some other means of protection. People would drive past our home and see our boys and say, those are the Quaker children who just moved into that house. We'd lived in our house there in the Great Woods maybe a year or so when a man and a woman bought a lot to the west of us and began building a new house, which fascinated our sons, who would walk up there and watch the builders and converse with the new owners, whose own children were grown and gone, moving far away, as grown children sometimes do, to Plainfield and Avon and other far-flung locales. And the man was the principal at Danville High School. His name was Jim, and his wife was named Virginia. When I first met her, I didn't know what she did. It was never explained to me. But in time, I realized she was an angel sent by God. The best and most important kind of angel, one who teaches small children there are people other than their parents who can love them too. That's a very important job. Our first Easter there, we woke up to find 2 Easter baskets on the back porch filled to the brim with treasures boys would love, one for Spencer and one for Sam. There was no note claiming credit, just the names of the boys written in flowing Palmer script cursive writing like they used to teach in schools. And then at Halloween and Christmas, there were always more baskets. By then, I had seen Virginia leaving the presents on our back porch, but I didn't ruin it by acknowledging her, knowing that there is great joy in the anonymity of generosity. If Virginia had never left anything for our sons, we would still have thought well of her. She had no need to curry our favor, but because generosity was her go-to pattern, she couldn't help but be kind, and we couldn't help but love her. We've been talking about depression, reminding ourselves each week to see your doctor if you're experiencing depression, so that if there are biological causes and roots to your depression, they can be addressed with medication. Beyond that, we have been reflecting on the habits and patterns that can elevate our lives, which brings us to the topic of today's message, the power of generosity and its positive effect on our lives. Our quality of life is directly connected to our generosity with the people in our lives. Our neighbor, Virginia, exuded a sense of vitality and well-being rooted in her generosity. Now, I tried to avoid generalizations. There are enough of them in religion as it is. But I will say this, that I have never in all my life met a generous person who was habitually unhappy. Generosity produces contentment. It is a rule of life as sure as the law of gravity. We see in Jesus this wealth of generosity in which he lived, worked, and walked. The true essence of Jesus wasn't that he, through his death and resurrection, saved us from God's wrath. Can we dispense once and for all with that absurd notion? What a terrible thing to say about God's generosity of spirit, that blood needed to be shed for God to forgive. What a terrible thing that is to say. But isn't that just like some religious practices? To take something noble and generous and turn it into something ugly about God. Let's you and I affirm with all our hearts, minds, souls, and strength the generous compassion of Jesus. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Each person must decide whether they will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness." Each person must decide whether they will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. Jesus walked in the light of creative altruism, taught his disciples to do the same, and holds before us that possibility for ourselves. Now, while you and I have experienced this altruism in Jesus, it is also true that others have witnessed this largeness of spirit in the heroes of their faith. This is how important compassion and generosity are. That I don't know of a single religion in the world who has at its center a mean and stingy being. We honor those who exemplify the ideals we revere. We elevate the men and women who personify our highest qualities. Generosity was central to the teachings of Jesus. Think about it and what he taught. When you give, do it quietly. Don't call a reporter. When you're struck on one cheek, turn the other cheek. If someone is cold, give them your coat. If someone is hungry, feed them. If someone is hurt, bleeding on the road, help them. In every instance, generosity, creative altruism. Most of you have met my friend Jim Mulholland. He's been here a time or two and to talk about his organization, Coco Da. Jim and I met the first day of seminary 35 years ago, standing in line to pay for books. We get up, it's time to pay for the books, and Jim was just complaining about how expensive everything was, and it made me think to myself, he must be a Quaker. Except he turned out to be an American Baptist. An American Baptist. It took another 13 years to turn him into a Quaker, but we got there with him. And the thing I like about Jim is that he's one of these people who can sniff out the stench of injustice when the rest of the world acts like we're standing in a rose garden. He can smell it. He can smell it. This past week, the governor of New York State signed a bill to study the possibility of reparations for its black citizens. But Jim beat New York to it by a good 10 years when he compiled a list of black business owners, mechanics, plumbers, electricians, tutors, carpenters and hired them for anything he needed done and paid them generously, even extravagantly. He said he wasn't going to wait for the government to do the right thing. He was going to start his own reparation program. So Jim and I meet for lunch once a week. We have for years. We eat at the same restaurant, eat, and then solve the world's problems. But it's getting expensive, and I might have to stop, because every week we go, Jim has a way of making sure we have a black server. There can be only one black server in the whole restaurant, and we will end up in their area. I don't know how he does it, but nearly every week he does. And every week after the meal, he tips extravagantly, generously, even outrageously, his own reparations program. And then he looks to me to see what I'm tipping. And I'm trying to hide it from him. I'm down here like this. But he always sees it. And if he doesn't like it, if he thinks I can do better, he says, "Come on, Phil, you're loaded. You have more money than I do. You own a farm, for crying out loud. You can do better than that." He did it just the other day. He started in on me. I looked at him, I said, "You know, we're not sending her to college, Jim." And he gets this crazy look in his eyes and says, "Wouldn't that be fun?" He's got me there. Extravagant kindness, spilling over the sides, generosity is fun. It is fun. Joanne serves as the co-clerk with Becky Horton of our outreach committee. They have monthly meetings. Joanne lets me know every day, "Don't count on me tonight. I'm meeting with the outreach committee." They get to decide what to do with our extra money that we have. And every month after their meeting, Joanne comes out of her office with this big smile on her face, saying the same thing every month. "That was the best committee meeting I've ever been to. I wish I were on that committee." But until I am, I have Jim and his reparations program. We have to decide in life, friends, we have to decide every day whether we will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. We have to decide which path and spirit we will take.
Before Amanda comes up to lead us in our final hymns, I have one more act of giving. Joanne, would you come up front and join us, please? And Phil, if you'd come forward. Through the generosity of the folks in the meeting, we have a gift to give to Phil and Joanne to thank them for the wonderful way that they serve us year after year. If you'd like to acknowledge this gift, if you'll show your appreciation at this time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm betting there's a motorcycle in there, right?
I was going to say, Joanne, don't let him get on the internet and order motorcycle parts.
Right. No motorcycle. Thank you very much. We really appreciate this. Thank you, Mike.
Amanda, if you'll lead us, please.
Please rise as you're able. We'll be singing 2 songs from the Sing Joyfully book, beginning with 208, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. turn to 216 for Go Tell It on the Mountain. 216.
Nice. Frank and Helene, you want to come forward? If you did not get a candle, raise your hand, please. Joanne, can you slip out and get some candles? And friends, let's gather in a circle, if we could please, being careful that we don't stand between our Zoom camera and Frank. We want everyone to see his light.
Oh, you got it today. Anybody even got a light?
Oh, yeah.
You got a light?
I got a light.
Smoker.
And Joanne has one too.
Shouldn't they come up right here instead of back there?
Yeah.
We can light both.
Yeah, Bill and Pam and all come around here. We'll close our circle here.
There you
I'll need one.
go. Close enough to get your light.
There we go. There we go.
Good light. heart be weary, just keep this thought in mind. It is better to light just one little candle than to stumble in the dark. Better far that you light just one little candle, all you need a tiny spark. And if we'd all say a prayer that the world would be free, the wonderful dawn of a new day we'll see. And if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. It is better to light just one little candle than to stumble in the dark. Better far that you light just one little candle, all you need a tiny spark. If we'd all say a prayer that the world would be free, the wonderful dawn of a new day we'll see. And if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. It is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness, goes an old Chinese proverb. As individuals, we have the power to dispel this darkness through our inner spirit. Let this spirit shine forth and reflect from our deeds of kindness and charity to all fellow man. And let it create an inner glow that makes each moment shine with joy. And let it shine not only today, but let it be a source of widespread happiness always. Okay, would you all join me in the chorus one more time? It is better to light just one little candle than to stumble in the dark. Better far that you light just one little candle, all you need is a tiny spark. If we'd all say a prayer that the world would be free, the wonderful dawn of a new day we'll see. And if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. Bill, would you close us in a prayer?
I want our prayer today to be a prayer of thanks for Jimmy and for Jim and Becky. I can't begin to tell you what you mean to this meeting. Jimmy, you're a gracious and welcoming spirit. You've never known a stranger. And we've watched you for years now grow and love and succeed. We are so happy for you. And we wish you all the best in your future. Jim and Becky, for the many ways in which you have helped this community with your love, your faithfulness, your caring hearts. When this community thinks of all that we have to be grateful for, you come foremost to mind. Thank you, friends. We wish you every blessing in your search for a new spiritual home for Jimmy, that is close to his home. Friends, this week, may the light of God shine in you brightly. May you, amidst a world that can sometimes be dark and painful, may you be light and may you be healing. This is our prayer on this first day morning. Amen. Turn and greet friends. Thank you, friends.
Philip, I'm going to teach Porter every